Yeah, well, I guess I picked the wrong time to be a human being.
One of the most talented and mysterious actresses, Winona Ryder, has been a point of obsession in Hollywood for years, both in terms of her professional and personal life. Bearing the tag of different since her childhood years, Winona was subjected to bullying accompanied by harsh beatings. She struggled with mental health issues and nearly set herself on fire after breaking up with Johnny Depp. And all that happened before her 20s were over. It turned out to be only the beginning of her struggles. Stay with us, subscribe to Rumour Juice, and learn more about the dramatic life story of Winona Ryder.
Live people ignore the strange and unusual.
Now, when fans and media outlets call Winona different, they obviously mean it by stating how unique she is in terms of her style and acting. But during her school years, the different tag meant nothing but problems to the girl. She was subjected to severe bullying at her own school over looking like an effeminate boy. Once, after dressing like a boy, she got beaten by the girls at junior high school. They slammed my head into a locker. I fell to the ground and they started to kick the shit out of me. I had to have stitches. When in 1988, Beetlejuice premiered, making her super famous, she thought things would improve. But guess what? It got even worse. They started calling her a witch. Despite her prosperous career in film and television, Ryder admits she was incredibly unhappy during her schooling days. But despite all the pressure, she never tried to fit in the crowd. However, soon things got a new turn in her life when she met her first love, who just happened to be the one and only Johnny Depp. She was 17 and he was 26. The two became the it couple of the 90s, causing the general public to swoon over their deep and profound connection. They got engaged after 5 months of dating and were inseparable during 4 years of their courtship. Their relationship was so romantic. They were reading beat poetry together, visiting bookshops, collecting first edition books, and listening to their favorite records while snuggled in bed. And then, all of a sudden, that romance was over. Numerous sources said the split was gut-wrenching for both actors. Johnny, who had previously said he could not imagine his life without Winona, was never the same. Similarly, Ryder was having probably the hardest time of her life at that point. The young girl became severely depressed and drank all day long while listening to sad music. It seemed like she didn't care about anything at all. One night, Ryder fell asleep with a cigarette in her hand, setting fire to her hotel room. In the end of the 90s, Winona went through another unpleasant experience in her life, the feud with her best friend, actress Gwyneth Paltrow. The two young stars were nearly inseparable and even dating BFFs Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. One day, Paltrow reportedly stumbled upon the script for Shakespeare in Love lying around Winona's home. Paltrow was said to have asked for the audition and then landed the role for which she won an Oscar.
I would not have been able to play this role had I not understood love of a tremendous magnitude, and for that I thank my family, my mother, Blythe Tanner, who I love more than anything, and
Ryder claimed Paltrow stole the part from her, while Paltrow categorically denied it, saying Ryder's jealousy caused her to make up lies. Anyway, that friendship was over. In 1999, when our society was not so woke about mental health issues, Ryder was among the first celebrities to speak openly about her anxiety and depression in an interview with Diane Sawyer. Even though it resulted in her sort of getting labeled as crazy, the actress doesn't regret going public about such a serious problem.
I would just say to myself, oh God, I just want to know that this is going to end someday.
It would be fair to allege that Winona has been struggling with anxiety since her childhood. The Stranger Things actress, who used to be fairly quiet about her Jewish heritage, has recently opened up about her childhood fears caused by the legacy of the Holocaust in her family. She told the Daily Mirror that her biggest fear was that someone would knock on the door and drag them off to be murdered, like her father's family that perished in the Holocaust. So, Winona turned from an anxious kid into an anxious teenager and then an anxious woman who had to deal with a lot of pressure and tension not many could understand. In 2001, there occurred a rather embarrassing episode in Ryder's life that made a great deal of headlines. The actress was arrested on shoplifting charges and accused of stealing $5,500 worth of designer clothes and accessories. Winona was sentenced to 3 years probation, 480 hours of community service, several fines, and ordered to attend psychological and drug counseling. Winona explained years later in one of her rare comments on the issue. "Psychologically, I must have been at a place where I just wanted to stop. I won't get into what happened, but it wasn't what people think." A few years before the shoplifting incident, Ryder also made headlines by dropping out of The Godfather Part 3 due to exhaustion. After the whole media storm, Ryder's career stalled and arguably did not get back on track for more than 15 years. Winona's incident was a weak moment for her career and personal life, and celeb sleuths have attempted to theorize exactly what led Winona to embark on this controversial excursion. Reminiscing on the situation, the actress confessed that she needed that time off acting to avoid crashing into the ground. Luckily, she had a grand comeback with a role in the Netflix hit Stranger Things, and she is stronger than ever. The actress says she doesn't regret opening up about her mental health struggles, even despite the stigma associated with the topic. "There is a perception of me that I'm super sensitive and fragile, and I am super sensitive, and I don't think that's a bad thing." Not surprisingly, such a vulnerable and still powerful woman has become a friend and an icon for her younger Stranger Things co-star, Millie Bobby Brown.
This is the ring she gave me. Yeah, my nails.
Is it a claddagh ring? A claddagh ring.
Yeah, it's an Irish wedding band. It stands for loyalty, friendship, and love, and she gave it to me for my birthday.
Guess what Brown also admires about her colleague? Her style. The one that put Winona in so much trouble when she was a kid. It is very feminine, but it has that edge to it, that homeboy side to it, which I am like anyway. Meanwhile, Ryder feels very protective of her on-screen kids. Winona's real-life childhood bonded her with her younger co-stars, so the shooting process was emotionally challenging for her. And what has been happening in Ryder's personal life all this time after Johnny Depp? It would be fair to say that none of her other romances has been publicized. Ryder apparently learned her first love lesson. You'd better keep it low-key. But there is actually one cute public story related to Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves. Ryder and Reeves are really good friends who adore and respect each other, but at some point Winona announced she was married to Keanu. Everyone was shocked, and the news quickly started making headlines. It turned out the story goes back to the 90s when they were filming Dracula. According to Winona, in a ceremony scene, they used a real Romanian priest. So it turns out they are married, kind of. So next time you hear Winona call Keanu her husband, you know where this is coming from. But what about the real husband? Does the Girl Interrupted star have one? Technically, no, but practically, Winona has been in a relationship since 2011. The 49-year-old and her partner, fashion designer Scott McKinley Hahn, keep their romance relatively low profile. In a 2016 interview with The Edit, Winona, who calls herself a serial monogamist, said, "I'd rather never have been married than been divorced a few times. Not that there's anything wrong with divorce, but I don't think I could do it if that was a possibility." This somehow explains why the two haven't tied the knot. Ryder further explained that she has a high standard of marriage in front of her years. Those are her parents, madly in love with each other for 45 years. She added, however, "But I've been happily with someone for quite a while now." Meanwhile, it is worth mentioning that Winona and Johnny have remained good friends. She was the one to defend Depp, who was accused by his ex-wife Amber Heard of attacking her. In her statement, Ryder said that Johnny had never been abusive or violent towards anybody she knew. "I do not want to call anyone a liar, but from my experience of Johnny, it is impossible to believe that such horrific allegations are true. I find it extremely upsetting knowing him as I do." Ryder stepping up for Depp made their fans recall what a beautiful couple they made in the 90s. Some of us cannot move on and still regret the two never ended up together. Getting back to Winona, it seems like the actress is at a far better place now than she was when her career peaked. She has been confidently addressing her anxiety and depression issues, she has been in a happy long-term relationship, and she is back to the big screen after a 15-year break. What can we say? Go Winona! That's all for today. Thanks for watching. As always, we are eager to see your opinion in the comment section below, and do tell us which topic we should cover next. Behind-the-scenes dramas of your favorite shows? Why did this seemingly perfect couple break up? How come this Hollywood hottie is still alone? Who holds the title of the most fan-friendly celebrity? Make your voice heard, and we at Rumour Juice will make sure you are never bored. Subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to tell your friends how cool we are.